Good evening and thank you for joining us. This right here is Y254 News. I am Karen Jessa, and with me, I'm joined with Christine, who will tell us what she has for us today.
Indeed, thank you so much, Karen. Today we'll be talking about suicide. It's a National Suicide Week, all the way from Saturday, 10th of September to from Sunday, 10th of September, all the way to coming Saturday, 16th of September. And we want to understand exactly what leads people to commit suicide and what can you and I do about it to make sure that we prevent it. So join me much later on. The question is, what can you do to stop suicide? The question is, what can you do to stop suicide? Remember to send in your comments and suggestions to 22162, beginning with the word news, of course, and find us on Twitter at Y254 channel. The hashtag is Y254 updates. But for now, I'll take you back to Karen to see what we have in our news highlights.
All right, this is what we lined up for you tonight. The President Uhuru Kenyatta met Gusii leaders at State House in Nakuru as vote hunt continues ahead of fresh presidential elections to be held on 17th October. In his address, President Kenyatta thanked the leaders for voting in Jubilee and keeping peace during the August 8th polls. Hilary Ndereva with this report.
The president, however, bragged with many Jubilee elected leaders in both houses, as well as those of the county assembly, saying that Kenyans did not vote on the basis of tribal lines, adding that he is proud of the Jubilee party for it has shown the face of the country, saying it is indeed a national party.
Nikisema asante, nasema asante nikijivunia, nikiwa moja wa wana Jubilee. Kwa sababu leo hii ambapo tunaongea pamoja, hakuna chama ingine katika taifa la Kenya ambalo lina wakilishi katika karibu kila kaunti ya Kenya isipokuwa Jubilee. We have representation in almost every single county in the Republic of Kenya, meaning that truly we are a national party.
The president went on to say that Jubilee was voted in because it sold its agenda to the Kenyan people.
Sisi tuliuza sera zetu, na hiyo ndio ilihakikisha ya kwamba tumepata kura kwa Wakenya, kwa sababu we were not caring what color you are, what tribe you are, what religion you are. We wanted one Kenya that is peaceful.
The president did not, however, fail to criticize the Supreme Court verdict that nullified his win over the August 8th general elections.
Na ndipo hata kama tunajua tulishinda huu uchaguzi, kwa sababu tunajua msingi wa maendeleo haya yote ni umoja na amani ya Wakenya. Tukasema hata kama hapa tumeibiwa, wacha tu tukubali. Wakenya wasipigane, tusimwage damu. Yule Mungu alituongoza katika safari ya ushindi tarehe 8 mwezi wa 8, ndio ule Mungu tu atatuongoza katika safari hii nyingine. Na tukasema amani. Amani.
The president
On to a sad story, Moi Girls. The 14-year-old student of Moi Girls High School, Nairobi, who is the main suspect in the fire that killed 9 students, was arraigned in court today. The minor faced murder charges leveled against her before Senior Principal Magistrate Teresia Nyangena at the Milimani Law Courts. The requiem mass for the deceased student will be held tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the school. We will keep you updated on the unfolding stories as we receive them. Yes, now, health matters. Did you know eating raw garlic twice a week can cut the chances of lung cancer by almost half? New research suggests. research showed that those who ate raw garlic at least twice a week cut the risk of lung cancer by 44%, even if they were exposed to high temperature cooking oil fumes, which is thought to be another trigger for the disease. Further research even shows that the herb even reduces the risk in smokers by 30%. EasyJet is teaming up with Norwegian and WestJet to offer flights to North and South America, as well as Singapore. Under the worldwide scheme, passengers will also be able to connect with EasyJet flights. Around 200,000 passengers a year connect from one EasyJet flight to another Gatwick. But they have previously needed to book each flight separately and transfer their own luggage.
EasyJet is teaming up with Norwegian and WestJet to offer flights to North and South America as well as Singapore. Under the worldwide scheme, passengers will also be able to connect with other EasyJet flights. Around 200,000 passengers a year connect from one EasyJet flight to another at Gatwick, but they have previously needed to book each flight separately and transfer their own luggage.
Sometimes an act to leave is considered as an act of courage. While keeping up with the high rate of suicide cases reported each day, it is saddening to note that the youth is the most affected. According to the World Health Rankings, Kenya is rated number 29 with a 15.5% rate. When one purposefully ends their life, it is deemed to be suicide. There are many forms of suicide that are commonly reported. This include hanging, self-inflicted gunshot wounds, stabbing, and burning oneself, taking poison, jumping from high points, drowning oneself, or even crashing one's car. Just recently, we witnessed a lady pull the plug after she got bullied online for what was termed as seeking attention. Many are times when suicide occurrences go unreported, as it is known to be a taboo in many cultures. However, the worrying bit is that suicide in this country is more rampant among the youth than it is in adults. It is sad to note that the World Health Organization, through a research done in 2003, estimates that between the age of 15 and 24, there are 19.2 suicide deaths for every 100,000 males and 5.6 for every 100,000 females in Kenya. Indeed, the society at large has to play a role in curbing the suicide menace amongst the youth. Reporting for Y254 News Highlights, I am Karen Njeri. Keep sending your comments to 22162, starting with the word news, Twitter at Y254 channel, hashtag Y254 updates. The question we are asking you today is, what can you do to stop suicide? The previous story about self-slaughter is what we're going to base our discussion today. Christine.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Karen, for that. And we'll head straight to our discussion this evening. I have two amazing people in the house today, and they're going to talk to us about suicide because they have experienced it, and they're going to tell us their story and how they went past it. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So we could start with the lady. Just introduce yourself. Just your name.
My name is Emma Njeri.
Thank you, Emma.
My name is Moses Chege.
All right, thank you, Moses. I just want to go right into the questions, and with the story that we just watched. First of all, it is rumored, I think, I don't know whether it's true or not, you guys will tell me, that suicide is more prevalent in men than women. Is it true?
I think it is. Yeah.
And why do you think that is the case?
For a man, okay, we as women, at times we tend to be the strongest people. But when you see a man committing suicide, it is kind of hard. And it may be, okay, according to my thinking, that man has come to a point where, okay, a point of no return. But for us women, at times we take long before we decide on what to do next.
Okay. So Moses, is it true that it happens more for men than it does for women?
Yes, men commit suicide more often. Yes, I think because of being like want to show like you want to serve as an example or something, maybe parenting or something, maybe your daughter is looking up to you, you have to be a role model. So it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure brought about maybe by relatives want to see you being as a role model. Yes.
Okay, so from your experience as a victim, maybe you could tell us just a bit about your story so that we can understand what are some of the causes of that lead people to think of committing suicide.
Personally, I haven't experienced suicide, but I have had a close relation to people who've committed suicide. In fact, my cousin's wife attempted suicide. So she took an overdose of paracetamol, and I think the main cause was marriage wrangles. Yes.
Okay. Sorry. And what about you, Emma?
For me, it was a different case. For me, it was after a breakup that made me feel like I had no reasons to live again. And it was so hard, such that I thought of committing suicide. I remember I went home after the whole scenario, after knowing what had happened and what was happening to my life. I was like, what more is left for me? Because after the way my life has been since I was young, I have lived a life of rejection and stuff. And so I had thought that now finally, I'm now loved finally. And the person that I thought had loved me finally was the same person that betrayed me. And because of that, I felt like I have now nobody on my side. I can't trust anybody else. I can't trust many anymore. And I just thought that the best thing that I can do is just to die.
Okay, so that was a relationship issue, and even that was a marriage wrangles. Yes. But other than relationship issues, what are some of the other reasons that lead people to commit suicide?
I'd say drug abuse. Yes, drug abuse amongst youth. You know, when you consume drugs, you like go offline, like you just not in your senses. So you act according to what your inner thoughts is telling you. Like, I just have to give up. Yes.
Okay, great. And then I want to just move a bit to something that happened of late. It is alleged that you know about the Moi girls fire, and it is alleged that young girl, the 14-year-old girl, was trying to commit suicide. Now this is a kid, 14 years old. Really? What do you think about, maybe, is there something wrong with how our parents are bringing us up, or is it society? How would you think what do you think was going through the mind of that very young girl, just 14 years old?
For me, I can really understand her situation, because I can remember my brother, our second born, when he was, I think, in class 4. I remember my mom was trying to tell him to go back to school, which he never wanted, simply because my sister had dropped. So even him, he wanted to drop. And the moment my mother was trying to tell him you must go back to school, he tried to commit suicide he hanged himself, I remember. And so for this kid to try to commit suicide, sometimes it's because of our families, as maybe like the way our parents are bringing us up. You find that the way we are, like the way children were brought up in those days is not the same as today. So you find that watoto wengi tuseme wamedekezwa, like a child, like, okay, kama maybe for example I'm a child, tena niambie mamangu I want this kind of a thing and this and this. Simply juu sijapewa, I can do anything that I want to do. And okay, tumesikia threats mingi, mtoto anaambia mamake, I need an iPhone 8. If you don't buy me that, I'm going to kill myself. And because they know the parents, they love them, they can try anything.
Yeah. I mean, Moses, like she's come out from that thought of committing suicide. Just maybe you can take us through that recovery process. Maybe how do you identify someone wants to commit suicide and how do you help them?
You know, once, as in the wife to my cousin called me and she told me that she had overdosed and she wanted to commit suicide. You know, I come from a very different family background, and I wouldn't blame it on the parents as such, because some of us have come up without parents. So if we don't if we're not even thinking of committing suicide, then who are you to commit suicide? We've had rough childhood lives. So when that wife of my cousin called me, I told her, okay, do this. You want to take paracetamol? I told her, go ahead, because if you want to commit suicide, it's okay. Yes, that means, you know, to some of us, committing suicide is selfish. You know, you're just being selfish to yourself. Yes. In fact, I normally tell them, okay, go ahead. Yes, just do whatever you want. Yes.
It's selfish.
Yes, it's being selfish to yourself.
Yeah. Since you've been through it, maybe you can just briefly take us through the recovery process.
For me, what helped me the most was people around me, and I remember that day. It was not a long time ago. It's actually like a month ago, and I remember at that time I was so depressed, and in the process of thinking on how I was like, I just want to die. That's all I want. I remember I got into my house. I took a knife and I had some dawas I had bought kitambo, so I thought maybe I would take this. But before I could think of that, I think I became worse. Yeah. And so, again, at the same time, I was afraid of dying, you know. And then I was like, no, I need some help. So I just called friends, and they came, took me to the hospital. Unfortunately, after 2 hours, I lost my memory for 2 weeks. But in that process of being sick, being admitted and everything, my friends, they came, they were there for me. Starting from my mom.
So you need a good support system.
They were there for me. My mom was there for me. My friends from all around. My pastor, people from my church.
Did you go through counseling? Did you see maybe someone?
Yeah, I had to. Okay. I had to, because I was admitted in Madari Hospital. You know, it's a mental hospital and stuff. So I had to go through counseling and everything, and that has really helped me recover. And also friends, talking to friends, sharing my story with my friends, sharing it out everywhere I go. When I find somebody who is like in my situation, I tell them, don't worry, I went through this, and you can do this and this and this for you to make it.
Thank you so much. So guys, keep sending in your comments and questions. 22162 is the SMS number, beginning with the word news, and you can find us on Twitter at Y254 channel. The hashtag is Y254 updates, and let's share. And if you have experiences, you can share and learn a few things from this discussion. Now, as we finish up this discussion, are there legal implications for suicide? Because I guess suicide is committing murder. Are there legal implications?
You know, when you try to commit suicide, alafu bahati mbaya upatikane kabla hujakufa, you will be aligned with the court of law. In makosa yako itakuwa, for example, Emma, you're here because you are attempting to kill Emma. So it is illegal, and I would not advise anyone to don't end your life. No matter what you're going through, you still have to just, I know sometimes it's so hard for you to believe like you can really move on and everything. Yes. That process of moving on, it is not easy. But one thing that has helped me heal, it is sharing it out, speaking it out. The more I speak about it, the more I get healed. So,
indeed, Moses, as we finish your parting shot, maybe you can encourage our viewers, especially our young people, on how do you stop suicide?
I will tell those guys who are thinking of committing suicide that suicide is just a state of mind. I always believe that you can turn 360 degrees and I won't commit. You get? Like I'm yet to find a guy who's like tried to commit suicide and on reaching the ground anapata ni kama amesurvive, then anarudi back anataka commit suicide the same time, you see. So it's just a state of mind. You can just turn these easy stories za watu wanaenda counseling. I just see it as a waste of time or something. Because I'm imagining if mimi mwenyewe sijawahi kaa na first yangu nimeelelewa nayo, hakuna wakati ambao nimekaa nikasema nitataka commit suicide. And I lived in a very freely environment so I could just do anything. But what prevented me?
So it's a state of mind,
it is
and
a state of mind, and it is very selfish.
Great. I know, guys, you've had, it's a state of mind. You can get through it, and you know, if you talk about it, open up and talk about it. Thank you so much, Emma and Moses, for sharing your story. That's very courageous of you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go back right to Karen, who has some sports news for us.
Indeed, I applaud you, Emma, for holding on, because life is precious. Now, on to our sports stories. Lionel Messi's double-edged Barcelona 3-0 against last UEFA season's runners-up Juventus. Elsewhere, former England boss Roy Hodgson will replace Crystal Palace Frank de Boer, who has been sacked after 5 games and 77 days in charge.
Juventus were maintaining a clean sheet throughout the first half of the game before Barcelona's Lionel Messi scored the first goal, and yet his first goal against goalie Gianluigi Buffon. That was before Dybala blasted one over the crossbar after returning for the second half. Messi then hit a post before a menacing run down the right allowed Ivan Rakitic to make it 2-0 for the hosts. Barcelona's majestic number 10 then added a third with a characteristic dribble and finish. Don't let anyone be fooled that this was a stroll in the park for Messi. Given that Juventus were missing several key players, you could take in the little maestro's display at a glance and think that everything was in his favor. In reality, though, the first half was a struggle. Blaise Matuidi marked him so cleverly. But the key thing about this man is that his talent is matched with competitive instinct.
Thank you, Abdul, for that report. This has been Y254 News Highlights. I am Karen Jessa. Thank you for joining us.